OE in the place to be. HB on the track, it's like ecstasy. Rolling a well of 7 years, what we drink and be. Trying to sling the dopest rhymes in the galaxy. Let me take a minute though and relax your mind. Sometimes these words can be hard to find. 24/7 on that daily grind. Hearing voices in my head, man, they not that kind. Cause bitches be bitching, snitches keep snitching. The world keeps turning, and I keep hitching a ride instead of living my life. Yo, 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 yo.
Man, when you feel hungry, don't you have to eat?
Yo, yo, pump up the volume and digest this beat.
RapScallyon's in the house with this lyrical treat.
When we're done with you, you're gonna ice your feet.
If the world ends tomorrow and you had one chance,
Hey, yo, would you start the move like it's your last dance?
yo, do something small in the past and present changes.
Do something now, the future rearranges.
Cause bitches keep bitching.
Yo, snitches keep snitching.
The world keeps turning.
And you start living your life instead of hitching a ride. RapScallions. Jake.
Heyo, everybody. Here we are, rapping with RapScallions. Today is episode 17, the World of RUM. My favorite subject. Joe, what do you think about today's episode?
I think today's episode is going to be fantastic. It's going to be educational. It's going to be one of those feel-good shows, man, because we're talking about stuff that makes you feel good. And nothing makes you feel better than rum. Without that.
I think we got a lot to talk about as far as rum is concerned. There's hundreds and hundreds of years of history. And, well, no better place than now to get started. We don't want to put this off. I got to do a little bit of sharing here.
Share away, my friend.
People, we're talking about rum. But first things first, let's do our Rapping with RapScallions weekly wrap-up. Can you do that 10 times fast?
Weekly RapScallions weekly wrap-up.
Rapping with RapScallions weekly wrap-up.
WikiLeaks. The Rapping with RapScallions WikiLeaks.
Rapping about the WikiLeaks. All right, my friend. Do you want to start with your week, or do I want to start with my week? What do you think?
Well, I'm going to start with my week because you know what I did? I just managed to post this on Facebook. So that feels good. So hopefully people will tune in from the Facebook because before I didn't know how to do it, but now I do. So that's the first thing I got to say today is that I learned something new. I learned how to post some crap on Facebook. Great.
So if you guys are out there and you're on Facebook and you're tuned in, do us a favor, share it to your page so that your friends can get some exposure on Rapping with RapScallions. Second thing you can do, which should have been number one, is get yourself some rum. You're going to be talking a lot about rum. We are from Panama. If you're not from Panama, make sure you check out Panama Rums during this broadcast. But first things first, Joe, a.k.a. Joe Rumsky, Musky Rumskis.
That's right. That's right. So my week started off pretty bad, I must say. Sunday last week, I think we were still cheering for the Miami Heat to make it, to the NBA. They won the NBA Finals. We were hoping that we could get some good games from the guys, but it wasn't meant to be. So the Lakers came on too strong. Miami played well though. They did well. Well. Jimmy Buckets and the guys. But it wasn't meant to be, But it's okay. I'm proud of the effort they put in. Nobody expected them to get this far. So yeah, kudos to them, man. And then other than that, dog, I mean, Panama played twice since last we spoke, I think, against Costa Rica. Our national team is back on it, trying to get together, trying to get themselves on track to hopefully qualify to the World Cup. New coach, dude by the name of Christensen. He's Danish and Spanish, I think, and he had us win both games, 1-0 against Costa Rica. It's only positive, man. It's only positive. We got to win them when we can, no doubt. And then just, the rest of the week has been same as usual, working, seeing all the cars on the streets, seeing lots of cars on the streets, people getting out and about, trying to do what they do to make ends meet, get that money. Keep moving forward. And that's that, man. What about you? Tell me.
Is that my cue? Well, I've been working on a new video interface for us. So maybe hopefully the audio and video is better for you guys out there in viewer Famscallion land.
That's right.
The only thing that is holding us back, I'm still getting these messages from Cable Onda that they're upgrading the system. So, we're going to be up and down. It's been this way for 3 weeks now. And Oh, what can we do? If we dip out, just stay tuned because we'll be back in. And if you do notice a difference between the audio and the video, please let us know. Now Joe and I are more synced up. There's no delay. We can
That's
talk.
right.
We can talk over each other. We can interrupt each other. And yeah, and there's no like noise gates and stuff like that. But
There's no noise
other
gates.
than that, there's been a lot of rain, which is good for our plants. Our
Mhm.
chickens are getting to the age of being able to lay eggs. So
Ooh, congratulations, Mazel tov.
the Margaret Hatcher band is going to be laying some fat tunes, and by tunes I mean eggs, very soon.
Mhm.
I've been warned by my mother-in-law that the first eggs might be misshapen or kind of odd, while it's kind of like their body's getting acclimated to that part of their life.
How interesting.
Well, yeah, because if you think about it, when we eat eggs, we're eating chicken menstruations.
That's correct.
So,
They
like
fill
when
the-
a
the protein.
beautiful young lady comes to age, she got to flush it out a few times
That's
before
right,
the body
that's right,
is kind of used to
Right.
it.
True that,
So-
man. Yeah.
Now that we've completely grossed the audience out, we want to wash your mouths out with some delicious rum. Shout out to Eloy Benedetti. He says he's got a rum for me. Hey, you know what? Manda. Me and Joe, we accept rum. We're cheap like that. We take all the rums in the world.
We love the
We're like
rums.
pirates. Other than that,
That's right.
I don't have much to report. I've been pretty busy, so I'm really going to enjoy this show, talking about one of my favorite things, rum. This is my inebriant of choice. If we got a bunch of crackheads around, there's HB, you want some crack? I was like, no, I'll have my rum. I'm hanging out
Your
with the
rum head.
Rastas. Yeah. If the
That's
Rastas
right.
are like, hey, man, you want some of this? I said, no, I got me rum. And then, if we got some heroin addicts, like some models, supermodels doing their heroin chic. And
Supermodels,
they're like,
man.
yo, HB, do you want some heroin? I said, no, I got my rum.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's kind
I don't think the
of how I
supermodels-
do it, Joe.
I don't think the supermodels would drink rum because I think the sugar content might be too high for them, and they can't have any sugar because then they'll gain weight, and I don't think they like doing that. So I think you could have all the rum for you. All the rum.
Okay, I'm down with that. I'll take all the rum.
And also, I think the Rastafarians, they might be inclined to partake of that rum with you because some of the world's most delicious rum comes from Jamaica. And we
Yeah,
all know
man.
that that's where the Rastafarians kick it.
Yeah,
So
man.
they'd be like, hey, let's do some of this sweet Mary Jane and wash it down with some rum.
Some rum skis.
Some Appletons or something, man.
Yeah. Oh, some of Appleton Estate. I would have drank this if I still had some left, but I kept the bottle just for this episode. Appleton's excellent rum.
And that's a plug to our sponsor, Appleton Rums.
Yes, send
Proud
more.
sponsor
Yeah.
of this episode. Send more rum. We'll gladly drink it for you. And Eloy says he's drinking Calico Crew rum. Have you tried that rum? I've seen it often at the supermarket, but I've never tried it. It looks the bottle looks wonderful. The Calico Crew bottle of rum.
Your brother sent me the picture. He said Eloy told me to send it. Eloy told me to send this to you, and I was like, "Shoos!" I think I told Giancarlo, I was like, "I think he meant for you to send it to me in person.
That's
like,
right.
Send me a case of the rum, not a picture of the rum."
Man,
So there's a little breakdown of communication there.
a picture of rum does no good, man. It does no good. It does no good. But I think that's something that we're gonna have to try at some point in the future. I'm just on their website right now. Looks super amazing. They have Mary Reed's Choice. They have Anne Bonny's Favorite.
Aunt Bonnie's
have-
favorite.
The Cannoneers Explosive. I think that one looks pretty good, man. Cannoneers Explosive.
Let me see
and
if
then
I can.
Captain
Pull up
Jack's
a
Secret
picture.
Blend. Captain Jack's Secret Blend is coming soon, man. And that's Panamanian rum, man. Look how far we've come with rum. Well, we're going to talk about some Panamanian rums later on. All the Panamanian rums that we've grown up with, that we've come to love, But I just needed to give a shout out to the drink that I made today because since we're talking about rum, I went online and I was like, man, what type of drinks did the pirates drink? We're going to talk about this in a little bit. What type of drinks did the pirates drink? And one of the first things that came up was grog. So I made myself some grog today. And for those of you that want to make yourselves some grog, you can go ahead and find the recipe in our stories today. Grog. It was a drink of choice for many pirates, for many sailors. Back in the 1600s, man, they would make some water with some rum and some sugar and some lime juice, swirl it around together. The exact measurements are in our stories. It tastes legit, guys. You put it in a glass with lots of ice, top notch. So make some for yourself. Grog.
Interesting tidbit of information here is the lemon that they put in there. A lot of times sailors out at sea, they would lose vitamin C and get a condition called scurvy. So they would add lemon and fresh fruits to their libations to make sure that their sailors wouldn't get scurvy. Tidbit.
Hey, and imagine that. What an amazing way to get vitamin C in your system, man. What an amazing way when you're enjoying your rum. Because, of course, we know that these sailors, these pirates, they were on these ships for months and months and months of the year. And I don't know about you, man, but I've heard that the conditions on these ships were not the best.
Not the coolest place to be.
No.
And well, so what did they do? What was one of the things that they did to combat this life of ardor, you know?
Hey, when you have rum, you must drink it.
Yeah.
And
so
that made
one of the popular things that they did in the British Navy was each sailor got a ration of rum per day, and the reports are between half a pint to a quarter pint of rum. Now when we talk about rum, we're thinking of something like this, like you know, what you can buy off the shelf. No. That stuff was much stronger. It's probably, our rum is probably diluted 4-1 compared to what the sailors were getting before. So you're going to get pretty snip snap shallowed when you drink your little ration of rum. So essentially the sailors were being, Tell me, Joel.
No. I mean, because I'm thinking like, hey, you know, I think life in those days, and we discussed it in the past, you know, we've been talking about the Scots invading Daddy and all those other types of situations that happened back in the day. Life on land wasn't that great either, but you weren't getting free rum on land. You know, at least if you went on a boat, you were getting a pint of rum a day.
Yeah. That's like living big. That's living big. And that thirst for booze and for inebriation is going to become an important part of our conversation today, because a lot of things happened in the world of rum. It's a very, very interesting topic, and one that we're very happy to share with you today.
That's right. Very true. Very, 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 very true. So what are we going to do now? Should we start at the beginning, at the very beginning?
We go way back to like the first recorded, or the first thing that they found recently was around between 30 and 50 BC in Pakistan.
What?
They found the remains of clay stills, and you know, they're thinking that it might have gone back even much longer before that. So, you know, when we talk about going way back, we got to go to the precursor of rum, and that is sugarcane.
Sugarcane, no doubt.
Sugarcane. And that's where you guys get your granulated sugar. That stuff that you mix in your coffee is coming out of the sugarcane. So, interesting tidbit about sugarcane. It is the most calorie-dense vegetable or fruit or, you know, thing on the planet.
Vegetable, fruit, you know, whatever it is.
But I mean, of all plant life that we can eat, it's the most calorie packed.
Man, so that means you don't want to eat too much of it.
No,
not at all, man. It's bad for you.
Yeah,
that is bad for you.
Shout out to my cousin Kate. How are you doing? Very good to see you. Kisses. Glad to see you tuning in. We're talking about rum. She's been known to have a rum or two with me every once in a while when we see each other.
Nice. That's wonderful, man. And why not have rum with people? Share the experience. It's always good. Always
Indubitably.
So tell us about this sugarcane, HB, because we know sugarcane was all over the place around these
now
parts
it's over
back in the day.
So, you know, way back in the day, it was you know, the spice trade came about. That was and that's, you know, it's a very Eurocentric view of history, but when the Europeans got into the spice road, you know, they were going out to the Far East, and that's where sugarcane came from. And the thing is that it only grows in tropical areas. So maybe parts of North Africa. They were able to plant it in the Canary Islands, stuff like that. And then when
Right.
Columbus got to the New World, one of the things that he did is he tried planting sugarcane in Hispaniola, and it took off. It took off like crazy.
Right.
So, sugarcane in the New World, it took off in Brazil. Brazil, India, and China are the top 3 producers of sugar
Sugarcane.
right now, currently. So back in the day, you had Brazil, which was a Portuguese colony.
Yeah.
Then you had all the Caribbean islands, which were English and
Mhm.
French. They were all growing like tons and tons of sugarcane. So
Right.
that's
And you-
step one.
And before, as we mentioned, before all these British sailors were getting the rations of rum, I think another method of payment that they had for them was giving them beer. I think it was one of the things they were trying out beforehand. But then, of course, beer is very difficult to keep when you're going for months on end in a wooden ship that has no sort of refrigeration or any sort of protection for this beverage, right? So then, I think, was it in Jamaica where they first started to try this whole thing of giving them rum rations as a way to replace beer?
Well, let's take a few steps back. You're absolutely correct, but we need to make the discovery of actually the modern distillation of rum. We need to take a few steps back.
Let's take steps back.
We talked about Panama before and how all the gold and silver would cross the isthmus on its way back to Spain. There was another thing that we talked about. It's called white gold, and it's sugar. All that sugar production was huge.
Right.
It's huge. The sugar barons of Barbados were actually considered to be richer than most of the people in Europe. So one of the byproducts of refining sugar is molasses. It's the thick goo that you have left over, and it was considered industrial waste. They didn't know what to do with it. They just threw it away. The molasses. So lo and behold, some of the slaves figured out that there was enough sugar in the molasses to distill. So it was actually the slaves that came up with or discovered the idea of distilling the molasses, and lo and behold, it created rum. So not only are these another thing the white man stole from this idea of distilling molasses. So you're exporting sugar. You're making hand over fist out of sugar. 2, you're able to use an industrial waste and sell that too, and it became in huge demand.
Right.
Huge demand.
And again, the white man stole it from the people who invented it, who originated it.
Yeah.
Crazy. We've got a question on the chat. It's from Elo. He says, how long does rum have to be in the barrel for it to be a good rum? I think it's very similar to like whiskey, right? Where I think whiskey has to spend up to 3 years in the barrel for it to be considered whiskey. I think rum also has to spend about 3 years in a barrel to be considered rum. But I guess it really depends. Just because a rum is an old rum doesn't mean it's necessarily a good. I think it's just your own personal taste.
That's exactly right, Joe. My opinion of the matter is it doesn't have to spend any, because you have several types of rum that a lot of us don't consider rum, like this one. Seco Herrerano is made from sugarcane. And the difference between rum and whiskey is there's no appellation. It's like, you can only call champagne if it comes from that region of France.
Yeah.
And you can only call it a whiskey or a Scotch whiskey if it comes from Scotland and it has these parameters.
That's right.
So that's the difference between that and rum. Rum has no governing body that says you have to do this, this, and this to be called rum. So there's a lot of rum agricoles, which means that they ferment off of cane juice as opposed to molasses. Kind of like cachaça, kind of like seco. The rum agricoles are made from the cane juice, and they don't spend any time in the barrel. Clear rums like Bacardi, withhold my opinion of that. I don't believe. I think that spends 2 years, but that was a marketing technique came out in the 50s.
Right.
Yeah.
How very interesting. I think, but for the most part, I think I've heard, that it's like it has to be like 3 to 5 years in the barrel that it's in, so that it ages, it soaks up the flavors of the wood,
Right.
and all that
Right.
stuff. And then it really depends, right? Because I guess a lot of these distilleries have warehouses just full of barrels that are full of rum, and they're just sat there aging, soaking
Yeah.
up all these flavors from the different types of barrels that they put their rum in, whether they're sherry oak casks or whatever other type of oak casks that rum is in. And then of course you also have to take into account the rum that dissipates into the atmosphere, that just goes away, which they call the angels share, because the angels are up in heaven having a party, just drinking up their rum and cokes.
They're
In
like,
heaven, man.
I want to hang with the angels, man. They got the good stuff.
Seriously, man, they get it for free too. They don't have to pay for it.
And that we're kind of going all over the place here, but when we talk about your angel share, which is common in all distillations, you talk about a lot in tequila and whiskey. That's the amount that evaporates, and that's why you get a darker when you age something. You get it darker because it's actually it's concentrating the flavors and whatnot. So there's, if we talk about a Zacapa 23, which is very popular right now, it's not a 23-year-old rum. It's the oldest rum within it is 23-year-old, and that's processed using the Solera process, which means that you have, like, if you look at the picture down here, you'll see these piles and piles of barrels. Let me see if I can pull up the pictures.
Pull up a picture, man. Pull up a picture. People want to see picture.
We'll show the pictures of the Solera. I didn't know this until I went here.
Tell us where you went.
I went to the Abuelo factory. Let me get that picture up. Here we go. Look at all these barrels, and they're like stacked in this pyramid fashion. So what you do is you have your oldest rum on the top and your youngest on the bottom. And whenever there's the angel share goes down a little bit, you fill the rest of it up with some of the younger rums, and you keep aging and blending. And you might think to yourself, man, that's kind of cheating. It's like, well, they do it. There's another reason. One is it'll make your flavors more consistent. Yeah.
And that's very interesting because, of course, when you want to have consistent flavors, because I guess if you're bottling several bottles of it, you can't have each of them tasting different if they're from the same sort of cosecha of rum. I don't know if we're able to, the picture's up. Okay, cool. Man, that's really impressive, man, to think that all those barrels are filled with rum, man.
Well, that's
ridiculous.
There's me.
Ridiculous.
I'm super happy.
Yeah, that's in the Finca San Isidro, as Eloy is saying. True that. I've never been, but like you've been, and you told me it was fabulous, and I know several people that have been, and that sounds like a wonderful place to go during the summer. So if you don't have any plans for summer 2021, go to La Finca San Isidro. You're surrounded by alcohol, so the COVID can't get to you.
Yeah, well, if you look at the picture now, you can see why I had a big smile on my face. All three of those are just different versions of this. It's just tons and tons in rum, and Joe's right. It's a beautiful place to go. Should I jump into the tour?
Let's go. Let's go to the tour. Well, just a quick recap, really quickly. Why did the pirates drink rum? Because they didn't want to get scurvy. There you go. And they were drunk half the time because life sucked back then. And they were swabbing the poop deck. People don't want to swab the poop deck.
Yeah. And they wanted to get drunk.
And they wanted to get drunk.
A lot of people consider like some of these buried treasures that they've gone and looked for and they couldn't find. A lot of people suspect that those were barrels of rum that through the ages have completely disintegrated because rum, molasses, and rum were very important. It almost as important as the gold and silver treasures and pearls and whatnot.
Man, I'd be super disappointed if I got a map and it was like for a buried treasure, and then I'm like busting my arse to try and find this, and then when I get there, it's like empty bottles of rum. Or like disintegrated bottles of rum.
Yeah, that would be pretty. Like, you have like a You have like dollar signs in your eyes, and you start digging. You do the 10 paces to the east, the 10 paces to the west, then the 10 paces to the north. You dig a big hole, and all you find is
Yeah.
like some rotten old barrels. Like, hey, where's the
Seriously.
gold at?
And even if there is rum in there, I'm pretty sure you can't drink it because it's probably poison already, right?
No, it would be like 400-year-old rum, dude.
Could you drink? But if it's in a glass bottle, it hasn't aged.
Well, yeah. Okay, it wouldn't age, but you could still drink it.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'll let you know if I come across any.
Let's go treasure hunting and look for full bottles of
400-year-old rum.
yeah. Well, maybe we should before we move on, let's talk about the dark side of rum.
Let's talk about the dark side of rum.
So these they found out that in the New World, sugar cane grew everywhere. However, it's a very tough crop to cosechar, to what's the English word for cosechar, to harvest.
Grow, to harvest, yes.
Yeah, so harvesting is tough. So what they did is they brought over slaves, and actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was Brazil that started bringing over slaves from Africa, the Portuguese, and then the English and the French and the Dutch also bringing in slaves, and they actually started trading slaves for molasses and rum. So a lot of the slave traders would take molasses and rum in exchange for slaves. So it became this. They called it the triangle of tears.
Right.
Where you're bringing slaves over to the New World to harvest sugarcane. And a lot of the North American history, we think about slaves for cotton, but in the Caribbean and in South America, the top of South America, it was for sugarcane, because arguably sugarcane is a much more lucrative crop than cotton is.
Right.
So the ability to trade slaves for what they were actually working on became a very vicious circle. And
how crazy! I bet many people are not aware of that.
Yeah,
that you also had.
That's crazy. Fascinating history. I mean, when you talk about what's the most influential drink, you could talk about beer, because beer was a way of purifying water and having enough nutrients to become a meal. We talked about that during the pandemic show. And then you have wine. It's well documented that beer and wine, they have hieroglyphs of that in the pyramids in Egypt. But I think rum is often overlooked as on how influential it was in world history.
Yeah, very true. And I think whenever you talk about rum in films, or say current Hollywood films or anything like that, when you're seeing pirates or whatever have you, you have images of characters like Pirates of the Caribbean, Jack Sparrow, who's just having a grand old time drinking rum. But hey, man, I mean, there was a dark side to it.
There's a huge dark side, and it is a fascinating history. So up in the United States, there was a shortage of brandy in Europe. So the U.S. wasn't getting their crunk on. They weren't getting their drink. And when you can't get your crunk on, you get cranky. You know what I'm saying?
You get upset, no doubt.
So lo and behold, what did they start doing? They started importing rum from the Caribbean. Everyone loved it. And they were like, wait a second. Why are we importing rum? We could just import molasses. And update, they could just import the molasses and make rum.
That's right.
And you know how much we don't think of the New England Patriots as rum distillers.
No, we don't.
80% of the exportation in New England at the time was rum to Europe.
What?
80%.
What?
80%.
What?
So when you know what the Boston Tea Party is, right?
Yeah, for sure, man.
So they said the revolution is bullshit, man. Fake news.
Let's drink some coffee.
Yeah, they started it because England put on the Sugar Act, which means that the colonies in North America couldn't import their own sugar and molasses to make rum, and they crashed the rum industry. And so that's why That's why we don't have rum distilleries in New England anymore in our common consciousness.
Man,
Yeah,
that's remarkable. Could you imagine? We'd be like, hey, give me some of that New England rum.
Yeah, New England rum. Who would have thunk it?
I know, man. Now what do they make in New England? Don't they make like beer or something? That sounds something that like hipsters in New England would probably make now.
Well, what happened was they made a shift because they couldn't live that long without their crunk.
Right.
You know? So you had a lot of migrants like Irish and Scottish and they were good at making whiskey. And guess what grows great in the United States is grains.
Grains, no doubt.
Yeah, so that's what started the whole whiskey,
the bourbon,
the whole bourbon shebang bang went because they needed their crunk. The United States fought a war of independence against England because they cut off their rum supplies. Everyone thinks it's tea. No, the United States is a bunch of drunks. And
so they didn't want to have tea. I thought they were just upset because they were just like, man, they threw our tea in the harbor.
Well, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. They were really pissed off about the rum and the sugar. And then they went ahead and did the tea thing on top of that. And then everything just kind of went, it went crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they were like, hey, we got some Scotsmen and Irishmen. Let's get our own whiskey thing going. And then they had the bourbon.
Bourbon,
man.
Bourbon's good. Yeah. And you might ask yourself, what's the difference between rum and bourbon is now see these there's it's the level of grains. And see, whiskey and bourbon, they have their appellations. I don't know what that is in English, but in French, that's what tells you what it has to be. It has to be this. In Germany, they have the very strict beer ordinances that go back to 700 AD.
Yeah.
That they're still using today is it's actually the bourbon has a higher percentage of corn as opposed to the other grains.
Ah, how very interesting. Because even though they do have a very similar process to make between, say, the bourbon in the U.S. and the whiskey in Scotland, the taste is completely different.
Completely different. Yeah,
Oh,
and also the peat factor.
Ah, yes, but I mean that's only in Isla. That's where the peatiness comes in.
Ugh,
I know you don't like the peat. I know you don't like the smokiness, man. But it's delicious. Thank God there's no smoky whiskey, smoky rum. Though a smoky rum would be pretty incredible if somebody were to make it. Maybe if you were to age some rum in some whiskey barrels from the Isla region, then you'd have a really smoky rum that tastes like sweet smoke.
I'm sure it's worth a try.
Sweet smoke. We should talk to Vale Hermanos, see if they want to do that.
There's actually a word for that where you can grow the same thing in different lands and it has a different flavor. Because everything, what they grow the sugar cane in, same as with coffee. You should take two plants and you plant one in Ethiopia and another one in Panama and Boquete.
Right.
The beans are going to come out tasting different. So
the
distilling is different.
Environment,
the water, so everything has a factor in what contributes to the taste of the final product.
For sure. Yeah. All right, my friend. We've spoken about the pirates. We've spoken about the rum ration, which, by the way, they no longer have. According to our sources, before when you would join the Royal Navy, you'd have this rum ration, and that carried on, we think, till 1970, or it could have been till 2004.
Right.
We've
There's
seen
two different reports.
Yeah.
Our research department has advised us that there's two different conflicting reports. So thank you, research department.
Yeah. So I mean, there you go. I mean, if you were in the Navy, in the Royal Navy, and you're listening, please let us know. Till when did your rum ration last? And was it a good quality rum? Where was the rum from? What did it taste like? Was it smoky? I don't know.
Was it good rum? I mean,
was it good?
They often, that's one of the types of rums that people, when they say this type of rum is called X, one of them is naval rum. If it's naval rum, that means it's higher in alcohol or overproof.
And that is why they had to dilute it with water as well.
Yeah. So that's where they
were going to get blasted.
Your scrumptious grog. Yarg. Eloy is asking, hey, is Varela sponsoring today? No, but they should be.
Yes, indeed.
Abuelo, delicious.
And Lord knows we've given them enough money throughout
Yeah.
our life.
That's what they call us, the nietos.
Too true, man. Too true. But yes, so now you know, pirates were drunk all the time because life was hard and they smelled bad. And if you were drunk, you couldn't smell each other and you couldn't enjoy your life until you died. Because also remember, everybody during that time died around 30. So they didn't live that long.
Might as well be drunk.
Might as well be
And
drunk.
it was also a valuable commodity. You could trade rum.
You could trade rum.
So you could drink it on the way to the trade. Be like, hey, I ordered 30 barrels of rum. How come there's only 20? Well, I don't know.
You know, I was reading a story actually as I was doing my research for this show. This guy that got captured. So this like proper sailor type cat, he got captured by some pirates, right? And then these pirates had a bunch of rum barrels in their, you know, the below deck, wherever it is that they kept stuff on pirate ships. And so then, but the pirates were pretty nice to him. They were like, hey, you should have dinner with us, enjoy yourself, blah. And then one time there was like a ruckus outside. It was in the evening and they were like, what's going on, man? So he ran outside and he says all the pirates were drunk, of course, because they were always drinking the rum, but he wasn't drunk and neither were any of the other prisoners. And then it seems that one of the pirates was sent down to the gallows. Yeah.
Galleys?
You know, galleys, whatever.
Gallows
downstairs.
is where you hang people.
Yeah, he went to the galley to get some more rum, but the dumbass couldn't see because it was nighttime. So he lit a candle. And then what happened with the candle? It fell and there was an open barrel of rum and that caught fire. And then before you knew it, the other barrel caught fire. And then before you knew it, there was another compartment area, which was full of gunpowder. That shit went off. And then it was just boom, boom, boom all over the place. And he was all like trying to sort stuff out so that the ship wouldn't sink. And then the other pirates, they were so drunk that they were just, you know, they were over on the freaking front of the ship, just singing a song and saying like, oh yeah, we're super drunk. And this guy's going to sort it out because he's not drunk. Yay. Crazy, man.
They blew their asses up.
Blew their asses up, man. So that's why you don't like candles next to rum. If you learn anything in today's episode, don't play with candles next to your rum.
That's right. Use your LED flashlight, low heat. You want to keep your rum safe. And if you do decide to blow something up, don't ruin it for others. Just blow yourself up. Don't blow up their rum.
Don't be selfish.
Be nice. Don't be selfish.
Yeah.
So, we call it rum, but I believe it had several different interesting names that it went by throughout the years.
Please tell us. Don't leave us hanging in anticipation.
Well, the first one is the first recorded name for it is, well, actually there's a ancient one over in Indonesia, but we're going to skip that one.
Right.
So when the slaves actually figured out how to distill rum out of molasses, they were making some crunk, dude, but some like, leash, like, you know, you're miserable, so you're drinking this because you're miserable. And their name for it was Kill Devil. Yeah, so this is how this stuff was so potent. It was like, hard to drink, but you got your crunk on. So they're able to escape their harsh life by drinking Kill Devil. I think we should bring that
kill
back.
The devil. It would kill the devil that was inside of you.
So I mean, the way that we're sipping it now, and like, so delicious. I have hints of cinnamon and caramel. No, before it was like,
the demons.
So I mean, it was widely it was described by the more puritanical of those that didn't partake in rum, saying that they would run around as if they were possessed by demons.
What? Man, that must have been like super overproof. That must have been like brown rubbing alcohol or something.
Well, that's the one thing to keep in mind when I'll talk about it when I did the little tour, but when you distill the alcohol, it's 100% alcohol, right?
Yeah.
So you have to dilute it.
Right.
If you want 50%, you put 50% water in there.
Yeah.
So rum by itself, once it's distilled, is 100%. You water it down till you get to about 50%, depending on what you want. But the overproof rums would have like 1/4 this dilution. A lot of the rums that we
Whoa.
drink now, since there's no guidelines for how it should be made, and this is one of the controversies in some of the rum forums that I'm in, is like
Yeah.
the new guys don't know the dirty secret of the rum trade. It's like if I say, hey, I like the 8-year-old El Dorado from Martinique, I don't know where it's from, but they're like, oh, you're such a dumbass. That's so loaded with sugar. I was like, I don't care. It tastes good. So something you got to keep in mind when you're enjoying your rums is that most likely it's going to have sugar added to it to make the flavor more palatable.
Right. And I think that's very common. I think even in, in your whiskeys and bourbons. And I mean, people in the know have told me that a lot of it is just a ploy, marketing scheme.
That what is just a ploy?
Sometimes all these stories that they tell us about the age and the color and all that stuff. So I'm like, I don't know, man. With today's day and age, there's a lot of fake news out there. So how do you really know if that rum you're drinking is actually, I don't know, 60-year-old? I don't know.
That's a quote. I sent you a quote. I couldn't put it anywhere else, but it's very interesting to the conversation if you want to read it.
Let me see that. It says, generically fiery liquors that produce madness in total abstainers. Ambrose Bierce, American writer, journalist. Very true, man. Hey, you know what that is? When they produce madness, it's because you're jablasted.
You're jablasted. You're having fun.
You're
Rum makes you
jablasted.
dumb.
Rum makes you that. Very true. That's why I have to drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly. Don't drink. Rapscallions are big on mental health issues. We just went through a pandemic. We did shows about this. Don't drink if you're upset, man. Drink to have fun. If you're sad, if you're depressed, suicidal, heaven forbid, go out and get some help. DM us. We'll send you a picture that'll cheer you up. Just know that you're not alone. You're not alone.
You're not alone.
The Rapscallions are always with you. Yeah,
that's right, man. Rapscallions for life. But yeah, man, drinking is not a way to get rid of your problems, man. We know too many people that try to do that, and you can't solve your problems that way. You should enjoy a drink when you're with your friends and family, and you're enjoying life.
For sure, it is an addition to life, not a way to escape it.
Correct, Amundo. Hey, you should. That's a quote. That's a good quote.
Where's the research department? Eloy, write that down. That's a quote.
That's a quote. You can have that free.
Yeah. That's
all right, my friend.
Rapscallions to the public.
Take us through your journey through the finca de Hermanos.
All right. Let me
please.
Let me press some buttons here.
Let us know how it went, man.
All right.
I think we need to talk about that.
We talk about it. Okay. So what we're seeing here is Hacienda San Isidro, Varela Hermanos. So Eloy, you win the grand prize of air hugs. Air hugs. That's what you win. And respect. Mad respect. Okay.
Mad respect.
So this is the opening gates. We all met here on the day of the tour. And it's got that old hacienda style, very beautiful. And we were waiting. We didn't know what was going to happen next. And this guy shows up in an ox cart.
What? So like a proper ox cart being pulled by
check
oxen?
That out, dude. Yeah, those are real ox, man. I was like, when's the matanza? I almost forgot about the rum.
Oh,
one thing I like more than rum, it's food.
No doubt.
So this dude shows up in an ox cart. Right. He's like, get in.
Wow.
We're like, what? He's like, get in. This is how you're getting to the distillery. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And the guy had that, and it was kind of like that, that Herrerano sing song, the way he talked.
Yeah.
So we all loaded up on the ox cart. These are my in-laws. They came over to visit. There's plenty of us.
Man,
so we all got. Those things pull tons and tons of sugar cane. So we all got on the ox cart, and this guy was telling us as we're going in his beautiful sing-song Spanish, that telling us the history and how he got his job, and we're asking him questions, and it was wonderful. They've got a gold mine over there, not only in rum but in history. So we went by the press. This is where they pressed the sugar cane in the old days. they would they'd hook up they hook this arm over here, they'd hook an ox to there, or maybe even some slaves or something over there, and they would run this thing in a circle, and that would turn the wheels, and the wheels would crush the sugar cane para exprimir, to squeeze this juice out, and
I did
juice
that
is
once,
very good
man.
for you.
That requires a lot of like, you got to be like strong.
I think the opening scene of Conan the Barbarian, he was pushing that pushing that thing. So that was kind of cool to see the old way of them doing it, and we started going over to the industrial area of it, and check it out. I mean, they're just bringing in these half containers full of sugarcane, and we talked about the dark side of rum, about slavery and the triangle of tears. So a lot of the more responsible distilleries, and Barrera Hermanos has been recognized for this, is leading in sustainable practices. So what they'll do is they hire private farmers to grow and harvest it. They provide them with the necessary tutelage and schooling so that they can.
That's pretty good.
Sustainable operations, and I was pretty impressed with that. I can't name all their operations now, but if I did, I'd be taking away from the trip that Joe mentioned earlier. You can go and visit them yourselves once this madness is over. So it's really fun.
Man, for sure. That looks amazing.
So here we are. See, this ox cart's bringing in a load of sugar cane, and then they pull it with this crane, take it off. There's another gentleman bringing over. So what they're trying to do is create employment. They're hiring locals. Mm-hmm. They're doing a lot of teaching of the surrounding farms so that they can participate in this. And here we are in some of the stills. This is for Seco specifically. And the story behind Seco is interesting. When we talk about rum, we have to remember it's not just Caribbean rum. There is no governing body of what rum has to be, and there's no body that says that you have to publish the ingredients on the bottle. I mean, we touched upon that a little earlier. So for the purposes of this podcast and vlog, rum is anything made from the byproducts of sugarcane. So
fair enough.
Caribbean rum, rum agricole from the French islands, and rum agricole is one of the few that does have those strict requirements. So if you want to know what's in your rum, you buy the rum agricole from Martinique or from other places, because there is actually legislation that governs what goes into that. And also there's a governing body in Brazil over what can be in conchaça, which is also made from sugarcane.
Right.
So the story behind this is an ugly picture. Let's go to something more friendly. So
more inviting. We're
talking about those stills were for Seco Herrano, which kind of gets a bad rap in my opinion, because everyone who doesn't like it probably drank too much of it with Gatorade at Carnival, and it ruined their experience.
And I'll tell you something.
So it looks like we're having a little bit of internet troubles here. As soon as Joe comes back, we'll have him repeat what he's talking about. Joe, are you back yet? Let me know when you're back. I'll just continue on. Looks like we lost. There you are. You're welcome. Take a few steps back. We lost you there for a second.
Oh, snap. And I was just going off on a rant. Where'd you lose me?
Start over. We like rants.
Where did you lose me?
You just started, so start over.
So saying, as somebody who just rediscovered Seco during the pandemic, man, I think it has a totally bad rap just because of how cheap it is. And I think because of the way that it is marketed as well sometimes, because they want to sell it to you as just like, drink this, get drunk, But, if you drink Seco in a responsible way, properly, you can really, really enjoy it rather than just when you're in high school or, in college starting out. And
mixing it with Kool-Aid.
Yeah, mixing it with Kool-Aid and random crap, man, So drink Seco, but drink it nicely. There's a lot of recipes online that'll tell you how to drink it. There's even a delicious one with saril that you can have, which is actually in our stories from the past. So check it out.
Check out the story. Seco. Give it a second try. Now that you're an adult by age, not by mentality,
That's right.
give it another try. I think you'll enjoy it. It got its name because from Colombia, you have aguardiente, which has a heavy anise flavor and has lots of sugar in it to kill the burn. So seco means that you're getting just the alcohol and not the sugar and not the anise that they're adding as flavoring, as it is popular in Colombia and Venezuela. So that's an interesting. You're getting a pure alcohol. Now, when we talk about precursors, we talked about rum agricole from Martinique and from the French islands and Caribbean. Right now, they're going bonkers in the States over stuff because it has a lot of grassy flavors. It's very interesting. But the reason why Seco Arellano doesn't have those types of flavors is because they triple distill it. So you're really getting an actually quite a pure product. So when you see these different vats and stuff, they're triple distilling it. You're getting a very clear product. And here's the distillation. And I'll tell you what, as much as I love rum, even if you're talking about whiskey or beer, this process stank. It's stinky, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what's going on here is bacteria and yeast are eating sugar and they're farting. They're farting the whole time.
Nice, man. Life.
Yeah, so little yeast farts.
That's just the circle of life, man. The circle of life happens everywhere. And how beautiful that it happens in rum as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if someone's telling you that you need your probiotics, you need to eat more yogurt, hey, rum is made by fermentation as well.
So it's also a probiotic. You didn't hear that here, though. We're not doctors.
Yeah.
We're just saying.
We heard somewhere, not from us, that the fermentation process is good for your stomach.
That's right.
Not us. So we didn't say that. So here it is in the vats, turning from sugary juice into something with farts. Well, the farts is coming out of the hole here. Get your head out of the gutter, Joe. Anyway, so here it is distilling, and then you have temperature gauges here, and there was a little dropper there where they take little measurements. They turn that knob here, and you get 100% Seco Arellano alcohol. So while the guy turned his head, I put my finger in there and I took a little taste of it.
How did it taste?
If I had to come up with one word for it, it would be kill devil.
Oh, snap.
That it burns your mouth. Oof. It just burned my mouth, and I took a sip of it and it went down and I heated up, man. It's almost 100% alcohol. It's hard to get to actual 100%. So we're talking about between 95 and 97%. Once you get to 100% alcohol, you've got some
Isn't that like
serious
poison?
chemistry going on there. Yeah.
You're going to die. But you didn't die. You survived.
I survived. So, no, well, you're not going to die. It depends on how much you consume, but 100% alcohol, something happens as far as staying as I don't know. Someone with a chemistry PhD, please tell us, but it's hard for you to get there because the alcohol will just suck moisture out of the air. Wow. Yeah.
So it's just dry. It's seco. Boom.
Yeah. And thank you for concluding that story. I don't think I ever did. But anyway, here, my fingers out is because I was tasting the pure seco. And the reason why, there's not these vats is because for the abuelos, because they're buying another part of that sustainability program is you have your private sugar producers surrounding them, and they'll contract a certain amount of gallons of molasses to buy from them.
That's pretty tight, man.
Right. So that these people can take, these private farmers, independent farmers can grow, process, sell the sugar, and also sell the molasses to the distillery.
Wow.
So then here we have three of the original depositos I think there was 4 actually. I don't remember. The things got a little hazy after this.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. But what did they give you to taste some from the barrels? Were they like, did they give you some of the Angels share? They put in
Indeed,
like
they
a
did.
little. Oh yeah.
I didn't put a picture of it, but so they were just launching a new product when I went in 2017, and that was you take I think it's at the 10-year mark, they were taking rum destined to be Abuelo 12 años, or I think it was actually 12-year-old, putting it in different types of casks. So they had sherry cask. There's 3 of them.
Yeah. This is like the finish.
Napoleon.
The finish
What were the 3?
collection, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Hold on, I'll tell you in a minute, man. I had that page open
The
a
research
second ago.
So here you see I'm in one of those buildings, and there's another building behind it. You're just seeing rows and rows and rows of rum aging, and they are using the Solera method, which means that they're rotating these barrels. You have the Angel share, so ostensibly one of these barrels is only 2/3 full, and when it gets to a certain age, they fill it with younger rums, blends and blends of younger rums. And they let those, once they blend them, they let them age for a few years, and then they keep moving down. It's 355.
Sorry, HP. The finish.
Go ahead.
The finish collection has the Ronabuelo Oloroso, Napoleon, and Tawny.
Does it say what the types of casks? I think Tawny is in sherry casks.
Yeah.
Napoleon is in brandy casks, and the other one, what was it called again?
It has it's Oloroso, Napoleon, and Tawny. Hold on,
Oloroso, I think, was my favorite one. That was the one in sherry cask.
Sherry casks are good, man. When they put whiskey in sherry cask, oh, man. It's amazing.
Also,
amazing.
they have another product, the 2 Oaks.
The 2 Oaks. Yeah, that was pretty good.
This one,
so here we go. Sorry, the Tawny is in port cask.
Port, yes.
It's a port cask finish. Napoleon is cognac, and Oloroso is sherry indeed.
So they pick up, they're aging in those barrels, those recycled barrels, and they're picking up hints and flavors that really make a nice sipping rum. And for $60, it's pretty good.
The
the 2 Oaks is also $60. To me, it's not as good of a buy if you're looking for interesting notes. The one thing that it does have, though, is body. It has an incredible body, and I don't know how they did that. It just covers your mouth like a marshmallow.
It's pretty incredible because you feel that it really is taking over like your tongue. It's like it feels almost like a syrup.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. I really don't understand how they do that, because it's a marked distinction from the 12-year-old to the 2 Oaks.
Indeed. So just to get back to that picture, we're 3:56. We've got 2 or 3 minutes left with the Instagram folks. Always remember, everyone, to join us on Facebook and on YouTube and on Periscope. We're going to have the after party, and today it's going to be a rum after party. But
right.
Just to finish up the slideshow, here in this picture, we had four different types of rum. I think it was 3. I don't remember, because a lot of people gave their rum to me. They took the sip.
Nice.
They had the 7-year-old, the 12-year-old, the Centuria, and I think they gave us one of the collection.
Right.
And as we've proclaimed several times on this show, we both love the 7-year-old.
That's right.
I'll tell you, the difference between the 7 and the 12, after much study, is you want to think of a few things. You don't swirl. You don't look for legs like you do in wine. It's kind of irrelevant. You can look at when you tip your glass. If you see an edge of green, that tells you how much of the barrel that it's soaked up, supposedly. But
I've never seen green. How interesting. I'm gonna have to do that.
But you can see it in whiskey a lot. The peatiness comes. Yeah.
No, in whiskey it's incredible, because in whiskey we'll swirl it and look for the legs and everything as well, and opening it up as well for the smells.
Right. And you can even add a drop of water to it to release some of the odors.
Yeah.
So the first thing is you're grading on burn. How does it burn your mouth? Pure alcohol will burn your mouth, but it can give you it'll simulate the flavor of cinnamon, sharp cinnamon, the
Yeah.
first burn. Then you have your initial flavor profile. The 7-year-old and the 12-year-old and the Centuria all start the same, more or less. Now, where they differ is on the end. The 12-year-old, the 7-year-old will stay the same. You'll have that delicious first taste, caramels and cask flavors, and it'll stay there. The 12-year-old will develop more flavors like cinnamon and chocolate
Right.
and cherries. And then the Centuria, it has more of a burn and then more on the back end as far as different flavors. So that's the end of the slideshow, Joe.
Huh. That's very interesting.
Let's wrap up with the Instagrammers.
Well, it's done. We're done in Instagram.
Oh, okay. Bye.
We're done. So now we're just on Facebook and Periscope and in the other streaming
YouTubes.
platforms that we're on. YouTube. What's up?
All right. It's time for the after party, people. Where's
Time for
Chechi
the
at?
after party, man. I don't know. I saw him. He was on Instagram, but I don't know where he went, though. I don't know where he went.
Hey, Chechi, can you give us or Eloy, can you give us a chat on YouTube? Where you guys at, man? We love you.
Chat to us. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Just let us know what's going on, man. Twitter. But yeah, man, listen, I have been drinking this rum lately. I'm trying to finish the bottle. Panama rum. I think a lot of people have seen it. 8-year-old. I'm not really enjoying it that much, guys.
Yes, sir.
Not enjoying it that much. I'm very disappointed. I'm sorry. It's my honest feedback.
It's worth a try, right? You got to try
True
out.
that.
And that's an important
True that.
lesson.
True
Get out
that.
there and try some stuff.
Get out there and find out what you like, man. Because also a couple of weeks ago, I also did I did one of these. You know how lately it's very popular for people to do Zooms, and they're doing catas de diferentes, like different things, right? So our great friend and super mixologist supreme friend of all, Robert Martin, he was doing one with Varela Hermanos for, coincident enough, Abuelo Two Oaks. So in this package that they were offering, they were giving you the bottle of the Two Oaks plus, I think it was 4 tiny bottles of Ron Abuelo 7 años and Ron Abuelo 12 year. So then you were able to taste the difference between all of them. And that was pretty interesting because I've never been one. I haven't been able to train myself yet to the point where I can fully appreciate the different tastes in all of these liquors. But it got to a point where, because I let it sit for a bit, I let it air out as you're supposed to, because the air will impact also the flavor once you've released it from the container that it is in. And then I was like, oh man, this actually tastes like I sense some woodiness to it. It tastes like wood. Like I could feel the wood, and then the chocolate, and then all these different flavors kept coming. And then the aftertaste, I was like, oh, after I swallow it, what taste does it live in my mouth? There's chocolate, dark chocolate.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it, man.
That's the fun of it, right? It's tasting it and enjoying it. So I had a little shout out to Dan Norman. He's commenting with a picture from Pirates of the Caribbean. It's Jack Sparrow holding a bottle, and it says, "If rum can't fix it, you're not using enough rum." Shout out to you, Dan Norman. He makes an excellent pound cake, and the way he makes it more delicious, he just pours rum in it. So it's actually a vehicle for drinking rum. It's like edibles.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, Chechi said something on Facebook. He says, I just got a WhatsApp from him. How can we see Facebook, man? Facebook doesn't
they just
cooperate with us that
they
much.
changed all their things. I don't know if I'm doing it right or wrong, but the comments aren't really showing up for us. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Someone out there with degrees in this stuff, if they could please tell me.
Let me see. Hold on.
Here we go. They always come up late, and then I got to refresh. It's taking time away from the rest of our readers. Oh, there's Chechi. I'm on Facebook, my brother. I've been hearing of a new rum called Diplomatico. Diplomatico is Venezuelan, I believe.
Diplomatico, isn't it Dominican? Chechi's moving to YouTube. He's migrating to YouTube.
YouTube.
Diplomatico. Diplomatico.
Okay.
I think that one's Dominican, isn't it? Diplomatico rum. I got you, man. I got you.
Oh, there's like a consent to get in. Okay, what's our story? They've got all kinds of buttons and stuff. I just want to know where you're from, dog. Our story.
I know, man. What's your name? What's your sign?
It's got a whole.
That's
Oh my god. Let me.
You're confusing me, Diplomatico. Why do you give me so much information? Our story. Boom. Let's see.
I press the same thing. It's just scrolling and scrolling of. Anyway,
I know,
back to the
man.
matter at hand. While the research.
Venezuela.
department-
Yes, it's Venezuelan. I can confirm that it is located. The distillery is in the foot of the Andes Mountains in Venezuela. It looks beautiful.
I like Diplomatico. It's very good. I prefer Abuelo as far, but I'm definitely not turned down Diplomatico. Excellent rum. I also like.
Hey, if I can recommend.
Flor de Caña. Go ahead.
Flor de Caña is a good rum. If I can recommend another rum, which I was telling you earlier, which I had a bottle sitting here for like the past, I don't know, it must have been the past 5 years or so. It's one called Carúpano. I'm not really sure where the tilde goes, man. Ron Carúpano. It's a Venezuelan rum. I bought it in Caracas many years ago when I went over there for work. It's a 21-year-old Solera. And then I said, if you can get that rum here, man, that rum is delicious. Let me tell you. It is delicious. There's a lot of very good, delicious Venezuelan rums. Santa Teresa is one that you can't knock. Santa Teresa, man. People love that one. It's a delicious rum.
And speaking of rums, don't we have a list of Panamanian rums that we were going to talk about?
Actually, man, we're talking about rums from other countries when we should be discussing the rums from our own countries, man, our own backyard.
Let's kick that off with a little message from this guy. He's a Russian guy. He has a bar, but he's pimping the Carta Vieja rum, which I'm just kidding. That's me. I got hired by a rum company to do a rum commercial.
You're Russian?
Yeah, in this commercial I am.
Oh, snap.
Ding.
Oh, the power of acting. I have a Carta Vieja story after that, man.
Yeah. So check it out, Joe. That's me doing my rum thing. And, you know, the angels smiled upon me. Someone hired me to do a rum commercial. And at the end of the commercial, they were actually feeding me real drinks the whole time. So by the end of the shoot day, I was holding it together pretty good for a rum drinker. But I looked at the director and I turned around and I grabbed 2 bottles. I was like, I'm taking this. And he's like, okay. So I walked home with.
We paid you in rum. Fabulous.
Yeah.
What happened to the video, man? I think we lost the video. Now I see like this beautiful image of a bay with pirate shit.
Oh, I switched it. Here we go. Let's see if there's a Bar del Russo. I don't think there's audio though. Can you hear that?
I cannot.
Yeah, well, I haven't figured out that button yet, but Carta Vieja Reserva Especial. The idea was that since it was the first time that Panama had been to the World Cup,
no doubt,
these people were going into this Russian bar to ask them tips on how to speak Russian, how to get drinks in Russian in Russia, and stuff like that. So I was a Russian in Panama, and I was serving Carta Vieja, and I told them, I was like, here, you can say this in Russian, but always remember, if you order rum, order Carta Vieja.
Of course.
That was the fun part of that commercial.
Of course, dude. And it makes total sense. I mean, growing up in Chiriquí, I met a lot of Russians who drank Carta Vieja on the daily. No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah?
No, I didn't. That's a lie. But Carta Vieja was a constant in my life. And every time that the Feria Internacional de David would roll up or any of these festivals rolled up, you would find me and my homies in the Carta Vieja drinking team, which was the name of, like, you know how Pub has the Povererano? Carta Vieja had that drinking team, which it was hilarious because of course you can't drink till you're 18, yet it's aimed at all the people, all the kids that are like 17, 16 years old. You're like, oh, let's go to the feria so we can go to the drinking team. So anyways,
naturally
anyways, we'd be there kicking it old school, super fun, trying to avoid the police because, you know, the man would be there trying to bring you down. So we had to, like, you know, I would let my beard grow because I had such a nice, thick, luscious beard. So, you know,
at
I
what,
always
10 years old?
At 10 years old, man, I was rocking a goatee. It was super fabulous. So, you know, the police never bothered me. But hey, we'd be there, we'd be kicking it. Carta Vieja was everywhere. Everything was about Carta Vieja. To the point that even when we graduated from high school in the year 2000, Carta Vieja gave each of us a bottle of Carta Vieja that we said, like, congratulations on graduating from high school. Here is your first bottle on your road to becoming an alcoholic. And I was like, whoa, this is wonderful. I got liquor.
Dude.
So I said, I'm going to save this for a special moment, man. I'm going to save it. And I managed to hold on to that bottle for about 10 years. And I said, when I come back from doing my master's, I'm going to drink this. And then I came back from doing my master's and it was gone.
What? Who drank it?
Drank it. My uncle drank it, dog.
What? That's messed up, dog. And it had your graduation symbol on the front of it?
Dude.
It was a special label for the graduates?
It was a special label for the graduates. From
That's
Carta Vieja,
hilarious.
you know,
From
Carta Vieja
Carta
went
Vieja.
out of their way to say, hey, you guys, you graduated, class of 2000, the class of the millennium.
It's like, much love to y'all for graduating.
Much love to y'all for graduating. But, I mean, to be honest, the bottle probably cost like maybe $5. So I could go get one. But it was just, you know, it was the message behind it. You know what I'm saying?
Ah, yeah, definitely. Of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
we did that to my dad. He had saved a half gallon of Agewood, which was a liquor bottled and distilled in the Canal Zone. And me and my friends, this is after the Canal Zone was over. Me and my friends found it. We drank that thing.
What? You guys are selfish.
And
man.
he saved it because it said made in the Canal Zone, you know.
And you
So
guys were
Dan
like, "Let's
Norman's
drink
chiming
this."
in again. He's like, love it. Rum and cake. Instead of rum and coke, he calls it rum and cake, you know.
Hey man, he should start selling that, mass market it, and sell it for Christmas. I'm sure he would make $1 bajillion.
You know, people have the rum cake, but they take fruit cake with those weird little bits of fruit in it. Nobody wants that junk, man.
Nobody
Maybe get a
wants that.
spice cake or a bun from Colón, a bun,
Mhm.
and pour
Bun.
rum all over it. Rum and bun and rum.
No doubt. Hey,
Trademark.
let me tell you
I'm
something.
trademarking it here right now.
We should make it in our bakery, in our Rapscallions bakery, coming March 2021.
Baked scallions get baked with rapscallions.
Get baked with Rapscallions, man. In the UK, man, they have this Christmas pudding, which is basically a cake that they dunk in liquor, and that
It's like
will
figgy
last
pudding?
you. It's almost like figgy pudding, but it's like dunked in liquor, and that will last you for $1 bajillion years, man. My brother bought, and they seal it. They dry seal it, right? They dry seal it. My brother brought me one, and I must have left that in the cupboard for maybe about a year. And then I ate it, and it was still delicious.
Yeah. So what my dad would do, he would get his rum cakes from all the friends because, you know, either the Tuies were pirates in our past life, or you know, something to that effect, because Tuies loved their rum, and my dad loved his rum.
Right?
So everyone would, for the holiday season, they would make him the rum cake, and to the point where I didn't even get one. Mrs. Kirby, Karen, if you're listening, I've never even had your mom's rum cake. It's a crime against history. My dad would hoard it, and he would wrap it up, and every once in a while he'd open it up and re-up the rum. He'd rum it up a little bit just to keep the and you know, in Colón, what they do is
marinate it.
the fruit cake from Colón, the fruits in it have to be soaked in rum for a specific period of time. Like you have to soak it in rum.
Man,
If
I
you
have a feeling
don't,
that when
then
this
it's not
pandemic
a
is
real
over,
one.
when this pandemic is over, Rapscallions needs to go on like a drinking and eating field trip to the different provinces of
Roadscallions.
this country, man. We need to become Roadscallions, go everywhere and eat and drink everything that we
Sure.
can find in this beautiful country of ours. Tell me something, HB, because there's a rum that I have been hearing about for so long, but I've never ever been able to try it. I've never tried it. Every time I go to Boquete for work, I'm riding into town and I see a big sign that says Panama Red Rum. Panama Red Rum, man. I don't know anything about this Panama Red Rum. All I know is there's a redhead on the sign, and she has a bottle of it. I've never seen it though. Have you heard of this? Is this an urban legend? Does it exist? Does it have anything to do with marijuana? Tell me, man. I don't know.
I have tried it. It's an overproof rum. So I tried it at Super G.
Ooh.
Me, my friend George, if I can remember his real name, he runs a real great outfit. It's called Barefoot Panama. if you're looking for tours, tourism season is going to open up soon. But while you're tuned in, check out Barefoot Panama. Kevin O'Brien is his name. He and I were having beers at my favorite corner spot right up front of the Super Gourmet in Casco Viejo.
Beautiful spot.
And Blaine, the owner of Super G, check out Super G as well. That's my go-to place. Delicious sandwiches while you're in Casco Viejo.
And coffee too, and some dark chocolates.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. All breakfast 24 hours a day. You can get a Bloody Mary with your breakfast if you want. And they have great box lunches, the menú ejecutivos they're called. Anyway, I want to pimp those places because they're my favorite. Barefoot Panama
no doubt.
And Super Gourmet in Casco Viejo. So Blaine comes out and he's like, "Hey, we've got the Panama red rum," and I was like, "Dude, open it." Mind you, we were already 3 sheets to the wind, and this is overproof rum, which means that it's not as diluted as some of the other rums on the market.
Right.
We got bang banged. We were drunk, dude.
Word.
So I took a look at the bottle and it has a story on there. I'm not sure if I'm buying it. I think is that there's an expat came down and everyone's heard the legend of Panama Red, which is some fictitious special marijuana that you can buy only in Panama. No one that grew up in the canal zone. Yeah, it's like Panama Red's like the coolest marijuana you could buy in the whole world. That has world renown.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Panama Papers, Panama Red, I don't know which is better. But anyway, I think someone in a marketing who wanted to market something just chose that name because it has that recognition. There's a story about some redheaded lounge singer. I never heard of her. I looked it up. I never found her. So essentially it is market. In my opinion, I think it's all marketing. Now, as far as the rum, I thought it was delicious. And we got crunk on it, man.
Did you guys drink the whole bottle?
I don't remember, man.
That's how much it destroyed you.
We were already drunk on beer. We've been drinking since noon. The guy comes out with a bottle. Wow. We started drinking that, and oh my God, we're drinking it straight.
How can you say no?
So shout out to Blaine and Kevin O'Brien. Check out their establishments, Super G, Casco Viejo, and Barefoot Panama, if you're looking for tours in Panama. Good guys.
No, Super G's my buddies. Spot. Beautiful spots. Super G, man. Totally recommended. Great food. I'm just here on the Panama Red Rum website, and it says it's like bourbon barrel aged, the premium overproof rum. There's a redhead on here in a red dress holding a bottle of rum with some glasses. And it won an award in Miami in 2012, in Madrid in 2012, and San Francisco in 2013. So, I don't know. It seems to be pretty legit. I would look forward to tasting it at some point.
To the best of my knowledge, there's only a few distilleries in Panama.
Right.
So, there's if you look on the internet, you'll see a huge variety of rums with the label from Panama on it.
True that.
What is happening for the most part is people are coming and hiring the different distilleries to come up with a blend, and they're putting the contractor's label on it. And one of the agreements is you can only sell this overseas. We don't want you cannibalizing our market here in Panama.
Yeah.
So when a lot of people ask me, they send me a link. It's like, hey, have you tried this? And it's some rum I never even heard of, and I live in Panama. So, if it's coming from the same distillery, good chances are it's going to be pretty good. Again, everyone has their own tastes.
It's very interesting because when I was living in Scotland, I would always go to the whiskey shops and I would always check out what rum they had because, I wanted to stay down with the rum and know what was going on rum wise. And, I'd find sometimes my bottles of ron abuelo, which made me feel very proud to see them in Panama, in Scotland, super overpriced. But still there. And then there was one that I came across and I mentioned to you earlier that was called Barry's Panama 10-year-old rum. And I remember seeing that rum and I picked it up and I was like, whoa, this is Panamanian rum. And coincidentally enough, lo and behold, what tag did the label have? Baril Hermanos, in the back, So I was like, Whoa. So I mean,
Yeah.
the same type of situation where you're saying where they would make this, but only for external markets, right?
Export. Yeah.
Export, yeah. So it's pretty interesting, man. And there's even one called Kill Devil Panama. Just going back now on what you
Oh,
said about Panama. Have you tried that one, Kill Devil
I
Panama?
haven't, but I want to. I love Kill Devil. I love the name
There's
by itself, just the history of it.
there's like a 10-year-old expression, and there's a cask. There's another one that says 10-year-old, but it's 2006 compared to the other one that's 2004. And it's a cask strength.
Huh.
I don't know, man, but that seems like it's just gonna destroy whoever tries it, man. And then, but there's a lot of rums that you can find when you go to the supermarket. Not just this Panama rum one. Who makes this?
I don't think it's going to say on there.
I don't see
While
it
you're looking
anywhere
that
on
up, I want to. We were talking about Costco. One of my other
Yeah.
favorite places to go is Mojitos See Mojitos. Shout out to Eric.
here. No doubt.
Are you
No
out
doubt.
there
That's a
in the
cool
internet
spot.
land? I like getting crunk with him too.
That's a cool
Good
spot,
times.
man. That is a cool spot.
Yeah.
But no, there's like, you'll see the Ron Durang, you'll see the Durang Ron, and then you'll see Ron Canalero. Have you seen that one at the supermarket? Ron Canalero.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I've never tried that one. I've never tried, I don't know if, I think maybe I tried the Ron Durang once, and there's so many other rums that you're just like, where are these coming from? Are they any good? What's their age? Because it doesn't say it on the bottle either, right? And
They're
then,
just-
we've,
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
they're relabeling and they're blending. Like you have a blend master. I'm sure we're going to end up talking about Don Pancho.
Yeah, man, I was making my way there.
So you come. Let's say you and I, if we wanted to have a rapscallions, if we wanted to have rapscallions, rum scallions, we want to have our own rum.
Right.
We approach these guys and we say, we want to have rapscallions rum, and this is what we want on the label. Let's see what I can do. We're gonna do this. We want this on the label. We want our whole barrel with the two guys on it. This is the label.
Yeah.
Shout out to Karina Weber, by the way, for creating this beautiful masterpiece of a cover.
Super talented.
And she
No
made
doubt.
our little avatars too, with the pirate
That's right.
hats. So we would go to these guys and we're like, hey, look, we want to sell this in England or Germany. We want to sell this in
Right.
Germany.
Right.
We think that we have a big market. We're gonna call it Rapping with Rapscallions, and they're like, all right. They'll come out and they'll have a couple of different blends that maybe the blend master. He's like, hey, we've got a lot of this stuff left over. We're not using it in our current market. All right, let's see what you got. So he's like, test A, B, and C. Which one do you like the best? I was like, B. I want it to be B. What do you think, Joe? Joe says, I want B2. And we put our label on it, and we make a contract, and we export it to Germany. That's kind of what's happening there. That's all I got to say about that.
So Pancho, that's some insider information, guys. You heard it here first.
Was that even
Pancho's
coherent?
just kind of selling different recipes to people.
Yeah, I mean, this guy,
Well, yeah.
This
I
guy
mean, that's what
Pancho
I-
was,
he's just like, hey,
yeah, he's a retired mix master from Cuba. So he comes here and he's just busting stuff out all over the place.
man, and everyone has their own. Even Ron Jeremy.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. So, let's see if we can find a picture of this. And rum in Spanish is ron. So someone thought they were being pretty clever, which it's funny and everything. But Ron Germany, they made. You sent me the link to that one, didn't you?
Yeah. It's the ultimate rum thing. But I think this is actually his rum, isn't it?
Is it? But
I
it's
think so.
supposedly made in Panama, right?
Yeah. So maybe he's investing in.
Hey, why
It's-
not?
and it's
Sammy
made-
Hagar
and-
made a killing in
And it's made
tequila.
by Barrera Hermanos. It's made by Barrera Hermanos, if I'm not mistaken.
I know one of his labels is. Here we go. Okay, let me see if I can pull up the picture here. So it's Ron de Jeremy, Ron Jeremy.
Crazy, man. Crazy. I've never seen that one at the supermarket, man. I'm just like, I'm trying to think now. of all the different rums I've seen at the supermarket, and it's just remarkable how many options you have.
Well, this is a marketing thing. We have to delve into the label here. A Panamanian rum selected by Don Pancho Fernandez, the Cuban master blender behind Zafra Rum, amongst others, and bottled under the serendipitous name of adult film star Ron Jeremy. Let's see. On the label, it says it has his face on it, and it's pretty frightening. And also, it says Ron de Jeremy. Underneath, it says the original adult rum. Haha. And the bottom tagline is long, smooth taste. So they're definitely going for the porn aspect of this.
Of course. Yeah. Why not? I'm sure any and all Ron Jeremy fans out there must be like, oh my God, Ron Jeremy has a rum. I'm going to buy this.
Yeah, I'm definitely not putting that in my mouth.
Not at all.
At
Me
all.
neither. At all. Not even if it's the best rum in the galaxy. I don't care. But yeah, man, tell me, let's talk about Bacardi, man. Let's talk about Bacardi. Because I know it's not a Panamanian rum, but it is a rum that you can find anywhere and everywhere around here. I think last time I was telling you, I was drawn in to the Oakhart spiced rum because you know, I enjoy drinking my Captain Morgans every now and then. You know, when I was living in Scotland, it was one of the more accessible rums, and I was a poor college student. So I would have my Captain Morgan spiced rum with my Coke, and it tasted like vanilla, and it was like delicious. And I was like, I love me some spiced rum. So I got this Bacardi Oakhart thinking that it would be the same experience, and I was totally disappointed, man. Totally disappointed.
Sorry to hear that, man. Sorry to hear that.
I don't think I would get it again. Yeah, man. Sorry, Bacardi. But I think if I'm going to be in Panama and I'm going to be living here, man, I'm going to drink some Panamanian rums because, you know, pretty legit, top-notch, quality rums to be had all over the place.
Sure. For the most part, I'm not a big fan of Bacardi. I call it Barf-ardi. That's just a personal preference. If you like it, more power to you.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. No hate your way.
No hate.
Love what you love.
One love. No say, I really don't have any redeeming qualities. I mean, I don't like the flavor of it, and it gives me a hangover, so I usually stay away from it.
True that, man. I think it's one of those ones that might potentially have that extra sugar, for sure, added on there. Hey, tell me something. Ron Cortez. It just popped up here on my screen. It's a Varela Hermanos. It's a Varela Hermanos rum. It's a light rum. What can you tell me about that, man? Because I don't think I've ever had Ron Cortez.
All right, so that's what was super popular in the Canal Zone. My dad, I think, you know, I've drank more Ron Cortez. Oh my God, I've drank a lot of Ron Cortez.
Really?
That was my dad's go-to rum. And so, you know, I inherited his penchant for choosing that. I mean, if you're gonna choose between Bacardi and Ron Cortez Silver, there's no choice there, dude. You got to go for the Cortez, man.
Word.
Yeah, I mean, if you're making a rum punch or something and you need a silver rum, 10 times better, dude. God, Varela's gonna. These guys are gonna love me. And we, you know, back in the day, we never heard of Ron Abuelo. It was out there, but what they did is they rebranded and remarketed the Ron Abuelo into what we know it as today. So to us, the Ron Abuelo didn't come into our sphere of influence. It didn't come into our common knowledge until after year 2000. Before that, you had one of two. You had a few choices.
What were those?
It would be you had Bacardi, which is a big negative for me. You had Carta Vieja. My dad loved the Reserva Especial. I'm not a big fan of it, even though I did a commercial with them. Nothing wrong with it. It's just no sense. But I really do like the Ron Abuelo. Right. And what was really popular in the Canal Zone was, and I even talked to one of my friends who's of Varela. He's like, we used to sell so much of the Cortez in the Canal Zone, and we never figured out why.
How interesting. That is very interesting, man. That is very, very interesting. Maybe it was the logo. I don't know.
I don't know. It was good rum. It was at a good
Maybe.
price, and it's still out there. We bought a bunch of it. My dad passed away. We had a big wake, an Irish style wake, where it was just a huge celebration. Did a pig roast. We had green beer, and we had to have rum and cokes. My dad was a big rum and coke guy, and
Right.
he called them rumleys and cokeleys, and
Nice.
attitude
Rumleys and
adjustments.
Cokeleys.
He'd get home from work, he'd have his little rum and coke, and he's like, "Hey, now I feel better." So I made a huge batch of rum ponche.
Right.
Have I ever made that for you, Joe?
Nah, dude, I don't think so, man.
Oof.
I'm like super jelly. I was at the wake too, and I didn't have the punch.
Oh man, it was in the glass. I still have that thing right there on the counter. Excellent. It's a blend of fruit juices.
Right.
Delicious with a white rum. I call it the nectar of love, but you'll get in trouble quick because the blend of fruit juices covers and masks how potent it actually is.
For sure. Hey man, if we ever needed love, it's right now, man. Right now. Hey, we've got a question come in about the Guatemalan rum Romboltrang.
Boltrán.
I don't think I've ever tried Romboltrang. I've seen it.
I've had it.
I've seen it around.
You're
What can you
talking
tell us
about
that, man?
Boltrán with a B or Voltron?
Boltrang, sorry, yeah. Boltrang. No,
Or the-
Boltrang with the tigers.
Yeah, where the tigers come together and form a larger killing
A
machine.
larger beast. Sorry, no, I'm talking about Romboltrang.
I like it.
I don't think
I think
I've
it's
ever
good
had it,
stuff.
man.
I mean, when you have price comparisons, you can buy something locally like an abuelo. That's usually where I'm going to go.
No doubt,
Boltrán,
no doubt.
I think it's delicious, tasty. It's not usually on my radar, but if I go to a party and the host has Boltrán, I'm like, yeah, that's some good
you're
stuff
not-
right there.
You're not going to turn that down, man.
Oh, for
And
sure.
one of the rums that I keep hearing a lot about is every time I go to Guatemala with people, they're always like, "Oh, I gotta get some ron zacapa." But you can get ron zacapa here for cheaper. I think that you could possibly get it in Guatemala, man. I mean, it's a good rum, but it's not like, I don't know. I don't think I've been blown
All
away
right.
by
You
it.
know what? This is a hot take. Hot takes by HB.
Do it, man. Bust it.
I used to get a bottle every year on my birthday. One of my friends would give me a bottle of a Zacapa 23,
Right?
and we would drink it. So-
Oh, wow. And that's the end of the story. Thanks.
Hey, good times. But anyway, so to elucidate a little bit on that story, because it's
Right.
needs a little more factoids in there.
Yeah.
We did a taste test. I can't remember the third one. We did Zacapa 23, which is a Solana, which means that the oldest rum in that is 23-year-olds. It's a blend of several different rums. And we had the Abuelo 12-year-old, which is cheaper by quite a bit. I think the 12-year-old
Right.
is what, $25? And the
Yeah, dude, I
Zacapa
think so,
23 is upwards of $40. And then we
Right.
had another rum. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Costa Rican, and it was covered in straw. It was called Centenario, not to be confused with Centuria.
Okay.
And we did an extensive taste test, blind taste test, and almost, I think, 9 out of 10 times we picked the 12-year-old Abuelo blind over the Zacapa 23,
Based on taste.
just on taste.
Over the Zacapa 23. Wow. But the 12-year-old is it's good. Like, it's a good rum, man. I don't know. I think I have to taste Zacapa again. I haven't had Zacapa in years. I just always thought it was really funny that every time I've been to Guatemala, whoever I'm with says like, "Oh man, I got to pick up a bottle of Zacapa." And then I'm just always like, "But you can get it in Panama, like everywhere."
Right. Hey, there
Why?
are differences. When I was in Germany, my father-in-law had bought a 7-year-old Abuelo in Germany, and we compared it to
Right.
the bottle that I brought him, because if I showed up to
Uh-huh.
his doorstep without rum,
For
it's
sure.
gonna be pretty, man. So we compared them, and it
Yeah.
actually it tastes different. So
Really?
what we thought was happening is, I think what we kind of looked it up and we try to figure it out. What I think happens is, in order to be sold in certain markets, the
Mhm.
rum in Germany has to be a certain percentage of alcohol, because we looked at the label, and what I was bringing him said, I think it says 48% by volume. and the one that he had was 50%. So who
Mm.
knows what that extra 2.5% was? It's on here, but
How
I
interesting.
can't see it. So
How interesting.
what we figured is they might have added a grain alcohol or something to boost the alcohol percentage up to what was necessary, and that
Right.
affected the flavor immensely. So
How
maybe there is
interesting.
something to buying. If I'm making a huge assumption here, so maybe you got to buy it in its country of production. Maybe you get a little bit different blend. I think maybe Stolichnaya is probably a lot better in Russia than it is out here.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. I think I can't argue with that, man. Because I do remember, but again, when I was studying in Scotland, as I said, I was always trying to keep up with the rum scene. And I remember I paid. So, you can get a bottle of Ron Abuelo Añejo here for what? $8?
Yeah,
Is that what
you
the
get
price
a
cost?
pacha for like $3, I think.
I paid. I really wanted some Panamanian rum for my birthday when I was over there. So I paid about 25 pounds.
It looks like our internet's dropped out a little bit. I can tell you right now that I bought a liter of rum, not to be confused with the 750 milliliter rum. I think I have bought it. Anyway, this is 1 liter. This was $20 on the dot. So it's a liter of you got to be a little bit of an alchemist there and try and the internet